Hey guys, hello and welcome to this MUN Command Conference App workshop for you guys for RENMUN. We're super excited that you guys join us here today and you guys are here. We have as more and more people joining by the second. Jonas, let's do introductions. I'm Alex, you're Jonas, and we're two of the co-founders of MUN Command, and we've just spent so much time doing MUN, being a chair, being a delegate, being organizers, and we've spent so much time frustrated with piles of amendments on our table as chairs, with delegates sitting in a room waiting for procedural votes to finally pass.
It sounds like we had a horrible time, though.
We did. It was the best time of our lives.
It was, which was why we then decided to make it even better. And this is about a year ago when we started MUN Command to really bring together what we know and what we, the things that Alex mentioned that always bugged us down, so we can make MUN even more exciting for those to follow. To come.
Precisely. So what we actually want to do now is we would love to know more about you, who you guys are, what your level is, just so we can make sure that this workshop is at the perfect sort of level for you guys. To that end, we have a little Slido activation planned. So you should be seeing this pop up on your screen in a second. Right, there you go. So if you just head on over to slido.com, you see it on your screen now, and enter the code RENMUN or RENMUN. You can do that quite simply by just using your phone or your iPad or just a browser tab.
Right, and the reason being is that really we don't want this to be another lecture. I'm sure Hong Kong has COVID way more under control than Europe does, but we want this to be an interactive thing where not only there's Alex and me talking all the time, but really to get to know you as well. So always feel free to engage in Slido. Go to slido.com and enter the code RENMUN, and also we are following the chat that's next to the YouTube thing, so people can.
Here we go. We're seeing the first results. There's a lot of people from Mars. Well, we've only 14. We have 14 responses, 20. You see, it's funny, like...
Oh, right, because here we have a bit of delay in YouTube, I think.
We have to look at... But, a lot of people from Asia, obviously.
Well, which is not a surprise.
Not a huge surprise. Some people from Middle Earth and a lot of people from Mars.
Sounds like we have a good crowd together for today.
We did a workshop earlier for GI1 in Geneva, and they were a lot less fun, in the sense that they were amazing. But none of them were from Mars, I think.
And here we have a solid amount.
We have a solid amount from Mars. No Europeans, really only Europeans.
I wonder, we have 4% from other continents, and we know that probably the two continents that we did miss in this list are Australia, well, 3, Africa and Antarctica. So
if you're from Antarctica, we'd love to hear that. Somebody of you asked whether it's where you live or where you're like born.
And that's a typical MUN question of like people who do MUN ask these kinds of questions, and it's a solid question.
Yeah.
Where the home is.
Well, for me right now, home is here in Karlsruhe. Actually, even though like I was born somewhere else, but like this is where home feels. Anyway, let's hop on to the next question. This is really interesting because this allows us to later on, adjust sort of the what we already expect and or assume you guys know as we're going through the workshop.
Right.
So how many MUNs have you done in your lifetime before? And we are seeing a lot of first timers.
Which is great. I mean, I always feel like, having first timers in an MUN is great because like they're the future.
Yeah,
and it's now our obligation, they always said, to carry on this MUN spirit.
Not obligation, but the opportunity to.
Yeah,
it's really fun. Like for us, honestly, like it's been the most extraordinary journey of our life doing MUN, being a delegate, being a chair, learning to speak English. Like I remember my English being absolute horror when I did my first high school conference in Munich way back when.
But see, now it's
not too bad. It's okay.
Seems like we can get around. And see, it's way more evenly distributed than usually.
Yep, that's very true. We have a lot of people who've done it 3 to 5 times, 6+ times as well. So this is really, really cool to see. Chuck Norris answer. We have a couple Chuck Norrises in here.
Yeah, it seems bad. 2 from my math.
Nice.
Well.
Okay, but we have a lot of first timers, so we will make sure that we really start with the basics and we really explain things at a level that makes it really easy to understand for everybody.
What do I do if I have a question?
Well, there's a couple of ways you can go about that. Especially here in Slido, you see the different tabs up top, right? There's Q&A, there's ideas, and the polls where we're at right now. You can submit your question in the Q&A section later on, or you can write in the YouTube chat, which Jonas is monitoring on his iPad.
Right down here.
Right down there. Anyway, before we go on to that though, let's have a look at the final poll we're going to do right now, early in the beginning. We're going to be using Slido throughout the workshop, obviously. But what we want to just hear from you guys really early now is what you expect from this workshop. This is going to be really interesting for us now, just to get a sense for where you guys are at in terms of what you guys know about MUN Command, what you hope to get out of this, yeah, how to use MUN Command is the first feedback that we're seeing here.
Well, that's the initial point, but then that's right. So to learn more about, there's a lot of how to use MUN commands. Although, if you have any other expectations for today, also feel free to state those. And there's plenty coming in, Alex. Now, just know how to use MUN command, how we're supposed to use it. That's right. That's right.
How to use it.
Are you guys German? Ja.
In der Tat, wir sind beide Deutsch.
Which is German for yes.
Will this workshop be recorded? Yes, we are recording it actually, and it will be available to you guys afterwards as well. Right. So just in case you want to look at it again, that will be possible. Also, there's videos on our YouTube channel where we do what we do now in an hour in about 15 minutes.
So you can get a quick recap.
Exactly.
What we do is not too exciting, and you want to hear it on.
I love how you guys engage with it.
Many responses.
The guys from Geneva, they were just like, I just want to have fun, they want to have a laugh.
All right.
Exactly. How will we use MUN? A detailed guide about the software as a whole. How
does MUN work? Which German football teams
do you guys support?
I'm sorry to say, but it's Schalke 04, which is like the worst soccer team to support right now. They're the last in the Bundesliga.
Okay. Well, let's not talk about soccer too much, but this is really, really cool. I think we can deliver on a lot of those. And the focus really will be how the MUN Command Conference App works for both the chairs and the delegates and how that dynamic ends up working. We will, however, obviously, because seeing how many first-timers we have here, also talk about just fundamentally how MUN works, so you get a sense for that as well.
So how we're gonna go about it today? What we do now is we'll do like kind of top overview over the key functions and the basic things. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah.
And then in about like 15 to 20 minutes, I reckon, we'll dig up Slido again, and then we'll ask you what you want to deep dive on.
Yep. So feel free to keep your Slido handy and be sure you submit your Q&A questions there. So if you have any questions, leave them there. This is where we can monitor them most easily. There's also an ideas tab on Slido, which you already opened. So if you have any ideas on like what you'd love to customize about MUN Command, or what you would love to have added or to have changed, this is really where you can leave those ideas and suggestions.
Right. And so then with that
being said,
let's dive started.
Let's dive right in. So what we're going to do is we're going to share our screen, and I hope this is going to work beautifully now. You should be able to see that screen popping up any second now. Oh, here we are. And we have a little overlay with us looking into that as well.
Oh, that's new.
It's new. It's because we're live.
And it's rectangular.
It's rectangular because I changed, anyway. So what you can see now is on the left side, on left screen, left side of your screen, you can see me being logged in as a chair. So you see all the buttons, that the chair needs to play and pause timers, and all those sorts of things. On the right side, you see the screen of a delegate, right? So if you're logged in as a delegate, this is exactly what you would be seeing.
Now, hold on. Why do we have those two at the same time now?
Well, that's a very good point, Jonas, indeed. It's almost like we didn't script this, but we keep forgetting to mention this because this is really, really unique about the MUN Command Conference App, and something that in MUN that hasn't really ever been there before, and that's really new. It's that everybody in the conference logs into one single platform with their specific role and gets an interface and the opportunity to do all the things they need to do in a very catered way. And that allows us obviously to leverage a whole range of exciting features and benefits to make your conference experience more accessible and also make it a lot faster, so you don't waste any time with voting on things through Zoom, where you have to, which is like cumbersome.
Well, I mean, yeah, especially now in online conferences, we can leverage those greatly. How that works out in MUN Command, we'll see now.
Yeah, we're gonna have a look at that right now. So what you see us being in here right now, maybe some of you have used the MUN Command Session app as chairs, and this is quite similar obviously to this now. What we are here, the current mode of debate, obviously in Model UN you have different modes of debate, some are more dynamic, some are a bit slower. You have here the general speakers list, and this is really what a list of speakers that runs through the entirety of your conference.
And it's a very formal one.
Yep.
Unlike, for example, the moderated caucus, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yep.
The general speakers list is, so to say, the home base of debates.
Exactly.
That's a good way of putting it.
That's a good way. Yeah, exactly. And there you just have one speaker after the other, and after the first speaker, you have the second speaker. Quite simple and straightforward. Now, as we mentioned before, because we're here logged in as delegates as well, and every individual delegate is logged in as well, we can, the chair can allow such features and such things as, for example, delegates adding themselves to the general speakers list.
So right now we see the delegate on the right, and we can just select or hit the Add Myself button. Woo! And there's Belize added to the general speakers list.
Right down there.
Delegate 1. And yeah, same for removing.
Yeah, same for removing. Now, what is quite crucial is that this is all possible, but you don't have to use all of those things. So if you as a chair feel that for your debate it would be beneficial to work in a different kind of way, you can just disable all those features. So for example, if we now toggle or
where's it? Delegate self-add to GSL.
We just remove that, the button disappears for the delegate, and as a chair you can just do it manually if that really suits the debate, the pace of your committee.
Right, and so now let's assume I'm the delegate and I found this workshop the MUN guys are doing a bit, funny. And so I was wondering, where's that Add Myself button now? What I can do is I can check how the settings are right now.
Yep.
I cannot influence the settings as a delegate, only as a chair, but I can see now that the delegate self-add to GSL is disabled, and thus there's no button.
Exactly. So what we just used for that was the dashboard, and we're going to have a look at that, a closer look at that in a second.
Right.
Before we do that, we're going to look at another committee mode, or like another mode of debate. We call them committee modes. And as a chair, you can here select between all of those committee modes. And for those who are new to MUN, we mentioned general speakers list being sort of the slow one. There is a faster one where you still debate each other, but you actually can debate a topic.
Right.
And that's a bit more dynamic. That's a moderated caucus, which you see here. And what you also saw is that as a chair here, I selected a different one. It automatically also updated on the delegate side.
And this way, the delegate doesn't even need to toggle around and click and search. It'll just do it if you do it as a chair.
Boop. Exactly. Simple as that.
And also it does that if, for example, you have two chairs.
Yep.
Then if Alex was a chair and I was a chair and Alex selected moderated caucus, well, I'd be in moderated caucus then.
Yep.
And if I select general speakers list after again, then he'd be in general speakers list.
Really, really simple. It's all synchronized. Anyway, here it's a little bit different. You see a raise and a lower hand button here for the delegate. This is just not to confuse you guys, but this is because the moderated caucus day, it's a bit more important for the chairs to be able to really select who's coming up next as a speaker. And that allows you as a chair to see how those guys would like to speak, and you go with those to come up next. Simple and straightforward.
Right.
Now,
there's plenty of other debate modes.
Yeah, there's a lot more, but your chair will guide you through them. I assume your chairs are comfortable with all of them. If they're not, they can always text us and we can help you guys out. There's also obviously voting also happens through here. So this is an interface you might see as a delegate, and even here in voting, we can leverage the fact that everybody's logged in. So if you need to be swift through a voting procedure, you can allow your delegates to just vote directly instead of doing it via roll call.
Right.
And bam, everybody can vote like this. If you would like us to do that later, again, we're going to ask you guys what you want to do the deep dive on. We can just talk about that more in detail later.
Right.
For now.
we do those two.
We do. We're spending too much time together. Let's have a quick look again at the dashboard, because this is really a central hub for you guys as delegates and chairs as well, because this is where a lot of things happen. And we put all those things in the dashboard because they might be relevant no matter whether you're currently in debate or using documents or all sorts of things. So as we mentioned before, here's some settings for your committee, for the chair. You also find points here. Now, points are, if you just want to contact your chair quickly and you can't just stand up and talk, that's when we have those points.
Usually they're like a quick question, but not only that. Like a point of parliamentary inquiry, for example, could be if you have a question about the procedures. What's a moderated caucus again? If you're not sure, you just raise a point of parliamentary inquiry. Your chair is going to see it in the dashboard, and then the chair can either text you or address it straight in the say Zoom call.
Exactly. Or in this case, right, I raise that point by just clicking the button, and now I just ignore it as a chair.
Oh, what a terrible chair you are, Alex.
I'm a horrible chair. Anyway, what you also see down here is some statistics. Your personal statistics here as a delegate. You see the overall committee statistics as a chair here. And the chair can also go view more and see all the delegates' individual statistics for comparison purposes. Obviously, that's just quantitative data, nothing qualitative about how delegates performed, but obviously it can kind of help your chairs make interesting decisions of who they want to let speak a bit more or who they might want to speak
all those things
less. Anyway, and a really important part, and I'm not sure whether House of Cards is a thing in Hong Kong.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched House of Cards myself, even though I'm not from Hong Kong.
Well, anyway, there's a really funny scene where Frank Underwood, as vice president, holds a roll call in the Senate and has people carried into the room. So he has a majority or a large enough quantity of people in there.
The quorum
to vote. And this is always like a nice comparison I like to do when we talk about a roll call. Because obviously, in a committee, you need to know how many people are there, what's the simple majority, and obviously also sometimes what's a 2/3 majority.
Now, that being said, only those countries that are either present or present and voting will be able to participate, in a sense that they will show in the country lists and stuff.
Yeah. So up here then is where you find the roll call.
Yep. And you'll always find the quorum in those, I always call it the tic tacs in the top right, with those drops kind of showing the majorities. Simple majority in our case is 5, 2/3 majority is 6, and the total quorum is 9.
Exactly. All right. So this about the dashboard. What you also find up here is the chat.
Hold on. They're saying the audio isn't working. We can't hear you nor see you, they say.
Oh, shit. It's fixed now. This was my mistake.
It works now.
We're back. I tried to do a fancy thing. That obviously failed.
They're asking if we could just repeat the roll call stuff.
The roll call stuff. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I tried to be cool and make our video go away so you can see us again. I see more of the screen, but obviously that took away our audio as well.
There we go.
Thank you for understanding and your patience.
All right. Let's repeat.
All right. Quick roll call thing. So again, your chair can toggle this on and off. That you can set yourself present or present voting. And your chair will also explain to you what the details of those are. What's really important is that in order to do anything in the app, really, you need to at least be present. Just else a lot of the features just don't work, because if you're not present, you're not technically part of the committee. So this is really that.
Right, and you can leverage again as a chair. You can just enable self-registration. You come back from lunch, ask every delegate to state their presence. And you're good to go.
Yeah, it's really important just that you listen to your chairs, and they will guide you through that process. And obviously, the important takeaway here is you find all of this beautiful things in the dashboard.
How do I access the dashboard?
By clicking anywhere up here, in the top row.
Beautiful.
Really simple. What we also find in the top row actually is a top right corner here.
It's the chat.
Is the chat. So you can communicate with anybody and everybody in the conference. And here you also find actually an announcement channel. So if your organizers have something to tell you, you will find that here. Obviously, in the announcement channel, you can't write anything yourself to keep it spam free, except if you're an organizer.
Right, and then how do I start a group chat, Alex? Let's phrase that as a question.
Bottom corner here, you find the beautiful pencil icon, and you can select one person to talk to, or you can select multiple.
For a group chat.
For a group chat. And that will...
Let's give it a group name.
Team RENMUN.
Team RENMUN.
Here
awesome.
we go.
There
you
we
guys
go.
rock.
You rock.
You rock. You rock. Oh.
You have your American keyboard.
Yeah, I have the wrong keyboard language.
All right.
Anyway, this is it. Really, really simple. You can create blocks and write to your mates. I remember, like, I felt really so bad for the staff at high school conferences.
That always had to carry those like notes, yeah?
So this, obviously that's difficult in Zoom anyway.
Would chairs have overwrite and see all the messages that are sent in the chat, including the group chats?
No.
No, this is because of European privacy laws. I think we're not even
general privacy sense of privacy. But like, yeah, no, neither chairs nor organizer admins can see what you're writing. You may have at your conference swear words disabled, and they will just appear as hearts and love. But that's the extent of the chat control.
That being said, we ask everyone to be kind, to, how do you say, contain yourself in diplomatic courtesy and all this.
This is really important.
And if there's anything like, we had people who raised the issue of cyberbullying and stuff, then we would like to ask you to contact your chairs or organizers and be reminded that messages cannot be deleted.
Yeah. And again, just to create a group chat, you just click, or any chat for that matter, just click the pencil icon in the bottom as you open the chat and select as many people from your conference as you like to start that chat with.
No, you got 0.
And then you go. Yeah, I deselected
them. Right.
All right. Now, another really important part of Model UN to understand is...
Oh, hold on. No, not only chairs can start a group chat.
No.
Everyone can.
Anyone. So even if I go in here as a delegate now, I can also start a group chat. It's the same thing, really simple. Anybody and everybody has the same opportunities in the chat.
Everyone's equal.
Yep. There we go. Oh, people are helping themselves in the chat. It's funny to have a chat actually.
It's beautiful.
Anyway, let's go on then and talk about motions.
What is a motion?
What is a motion? So for first-time delegates especially, the really important thing to know and understand about Model UN is that it's fundamentally quite a democratic process, right? You don't have the president of the General Assembly or your chair just telling you what to do and how to debate and all those things, because nobody but you as a country can really decide what the right mode of debate or the right way to talk and communicate and engage right now in this topic is.
So now, me being the delegate of Belize, for example, I can raise a motion to influence the way procedures work, and then I need a majority of the delegates to back up, to vote in favor for my motion, and then we'll follow that proposal.
Yeah, exactly. And you find those motions not only in real life, but also in Command, obviously. So let's have a look at this tab right here. And suppose our delegate of Belize would like to change things up a little bit. We talked about that moderated caucus earlier. So let's assume the delegate of Belize would like to start a moderated caucus, and that means have this slightly more engaging way of debating. And the topic should be candles.
Candles. Oh, that's a good
candles is a really important topic. We have a candle setting right there. Anyway,
I would like to motion for a 10-minute moderated caucus on candles, 45 seconds, individual speaker's time.
All right. Just in case you are wondering actually again, what is this moderated caucus thing? You can click this About This Motion button here and you'll get a quick explanation of it. Now we close that because obviously we are Chuck Norris answers and we know how that works. So submit, and you will already see this popping now up for everybody now, also for your chair. Let's, as a chair, assume we took another motion from a delegate who maybe doesn't have access to MUN Command right now. That delegate would like to move for a 15-minute moderated caucus, and that's a delegate of Sussex. Confirm, submit, here we go. Now what you already see now is, even though the Sussex delegate's unmoderated caucus was submitted after the moderated caucus from Belize, it's up top. Why is that, Jonas?
That's because motions are ranked in disruptiveness. That means some are, so to say, disrupting the procedures more than others do. And in our case, the unmoderated caucus disrupts more than does the moderated caucus.
Voila.
And so we're often called also what you call a precedence.
Order of precedence.
Order of precedence. And so this way it's always ranked and sorted. You can also use that to your advantage if you're a delegate. If, for example, you know the order of precedence and then you make your motion more disruptive, so it's voted on first. And from my experience, that increases the chances it passes. Yeah?
Yep, exactly. Now, here is really where the fun starts with the conference app. So your chair can now start a vote on onset unmodulated caucus. Let's do that real quick. You see, obviously here on the right, that changes now. And we have the app voting enabled again, like you can toggle everything on and off as a chair. And this now allows all the delegates to just vote real quick like this.
And this way, especially in big committees and online committees, you no longer have to be like, all right, delegate of this voted for that. No, sorry, delegate, can you repeat your vote? It's right there.
It's right there. And yeah, it just makes procedural votes so much faster and allows you to not waste any time.
And now, even if you have delegates, for example, let's leave the delegate of Sussex not voting, or we have delegate of Bhutan who hasn't voted. So as a chair, I can see immediately who has not voted, and then ask those delegates specifically to cast their vote in case we have not reached a majority yet.
Yeah, very straightforward. We see six people against, though, a majority against. Unfortunately, that leaves us with no other option than to fail this motion.
What a shame.
What a shame. But we have another one, this moderated caucus, and another button here that we should take a look at, and that is debating motions. Now, you don't do that for a lot of motions.
But there's some, like, for example, the closure of debate often is one that is being debated.
That's one, and what you can do here then, here's no real delegate interaction except that delegates also see what's happening all the time. But you can, again, you might find people added and then speech is happening.
Right, and so the thing is to remember, you don't, this is not a debate like about the topic candles, but this is a debate whether you want to debate candles. Yeah, I know it's a bit weird, but that are usually the procedures entertained. So,
but again, your chairs will guide you through all of that as it happens. Now let's assume we want to pass this motion. This is a good motion, and for you guys as chairs, this is really, really convenient because it automatically adopts everything for you. So it automatically creates you this moderated caucus with the corresponding items. So like topic, candles, total duration, and the individual speaking time.
Right.
Voila.
But for me as a delegate, there's one thing I have to do.
What you have to do?
I have to go to home.
Oh yeah, you have to go to home. So this is maybe something that we can give you guys also as a piece of advice. You know, you have to still stay alert. Like the app doesn't run the debate for you as a chair, and as a delegate, you still have to sort of engage with things. So if you want to vote on a motion, you have to go to the motions tab.
Right.
We didn't want to force you to do that or like have the app just automatically switch, because you know you might be entering an emotion or you might be in a documents tab working with documents, and if everything then changes in the background, that's a bit.
No, so stay awake, and also as just a tip to chairs from my experience, the key thing, sorry to say, but it's not the app. It's that you communicate clearly with your delegates, and the app can then help you with that.
Yep.
But nonetheless, state what you're doing so you can take delegates with you.
Yep. All right. So this is the motions. There's a lot of motions, obviously, and especially there's also motions regarding documents, and this will take maybe again for the first timers, rather than in like sort of your normal classic style debates in schools, universities, MUN is really about finding solutions to issues.
Right. And we call those resolutions if they're written down.
Yeah. Once they're passed in committee and written down, they're become a resolution. Right. And this obviously is a bit of a procedure where you have several drafts of those documents, and those are the documents you find here.
Now, you said documents, I think, 3 times in the last sentence.
Maybe we should look at the documents tab.
Let's look at the documents tab.
So this is the third tab we're looking at here now. And this, again, is divided into 2 sections, both for the delegate and chair. And obviously it already looks different because the chair has to do very different things with documents than delegates. What they have in common is the committee section here, which is where they see all the shared committee documents that everybody in the committee
and they look the same for delegates and chairs, except right now you have a beautiful image down below.
It's fine.
And the delegate.
It's fine.
You won't have that in the real app.
And as a chair, you can also upload documents here directly to the entirety of the committee. Right, from Jonas always hates the phrase, you know, please delegate share your document in the Facebook group. it all happens now here. You don't have to worry about
Facebook
emails, Facebook groups, WhatsApp chats, and other nonsense anymore. It all happens well within here, and you're good to go.
And so you can either upload a document, or you can upload a link. So the link then becomes a document, and that links, what could it be? Well, maybe a Google Docs if you're working there. Be reminded that you have to manage the editing rights still through Google, because we cannot influence that, and that's both in the good and the bad sense. I took advantage at a conference once where I just deleted the opposing block's entire resolution. So be careful.
That is in Google Docs. So
that was Google Docs. So like
that's why I just like uploading normal documents, and you're good.
Yeah.
Anyway, we had some bit. Is somebody logged in as police? Is that new? Anyway,
I don't know.
So what you can do now is let's just upload a document real quick. Maybe this gorgeous picture of Jonas.
Beautiful.
And let's call that our Schneider resolution, because we have a pencil laying here called, well, from that brand.
All right,
anyway, we upload that real quick, and it shows up right away. Now, what's really a key feature here, the document is right now hidden behind our picture, but you still see the buttons here on the right side. And there you can request approval for that document.
You can do many more things there as well, but we'll focus on the request approval now.
Yep, because those documents usually have to adhere to some formal criteria that your chair has to check first. And that is why here you can click request approval.
And this is a great moment to answer a question that Suzanne raised. Who can see the documents? Well, as long as they are in the private section down there, only you can see it. Now we see that 7 Ways docx has this people icon there. So that one's shared, and we can see it's shared with the delegate of Germany, who's a signatory of that document.
Yep.
So you can see it for yourself to start with, and then when signatories and sponsors are added, they can see it as well.
Yep.
Now that we requested approval, of course the chair can see it in the approval section.
Yeah, so this is what happened now. This document disappeared down there from the private section and went to approval documents. And you see here, Schneider resolution is pending. And that is the same thing here for the chair. Chair can have a look at this document now. Oopala.
Oh, that is a good one.
That is some document right there. Now, your chair can just request you to upload a new version, maybe, if it's not quite perfect yet. Or in this case, obviously, this is a perfect picture.
This is a perfect resolution.
Let's be real here. Let's approve this.
Actually, we should write some resolutions to have samples for the next workshops.
I think it's much more funny if we just use random pictures of you. So now what happened is that this changed to approved, and as a delegate, you now know great stuff.
Let's go.
Let's go and introduce this as a document.
Now, what does let's go mean exactly?
Honestly, I don't want to go too deep dive now, but what you can do now is you can go on over to your motions tab, document introduction. Maybe this is just a working paper, because the facial expressions there from Jonas weren't ideal, so it's just a working paper. You can set your document here and submit that as a working paper.
And then once a motion to introduce a document is successful, be it as a working paper, draft resolution, or as an amendment, it will show up in the committee section, so everyone in the committee can have access to it, read it, and discuss it and debate it.
Yep, so this is what just happened here. I just passed this
Schneider resolution as a working paper.
This motion, and it is therefore now an official working paper of the committee. And everybody can see it, so you don't have to send it anymore anywhere to anybody. It's just there, and everybody can see it and access it.
See, that was when barbershops were still closed because of COVID.
Yeah, like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is the main thing here. Conference tab, you find some things like your schedule that may or may not load. There it is.
It usually takes a second.
It usually takes a second. Anyway, there's also a goodie bag that your conference may or may not use. But those are sort of the main things. We've already run way too long, but we've also answered some questions.
That's right.
Now, what actually let's do now is...
Let's hop back into the Slido.
Let's get back to Slido.
And Alex, let's make sure that we're still hearable.
Yeah, we are hearable on Slido because we have our video up there. So
there we go.
Whenever that goes away, our audio also goes away. And let's activate this question right now. Is what would you like to hear more about? Now, we have about 20 minutes for the session. So the question is really, is there anything you'd like to have a deep dive on, like
voting amendments, documents? We can elaborate more if you want to.
Specific motions or
settings for chairs, maybe could be one.
Yep.
Tips to prepare a clause. Yeah, that's something we can
talk about anything. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing we can't talk about. If you'd like us to talk about our lunch, we can talk about lunch.
That was actually a good lunch, now that you mentioned, but amendments come up, yes. Documents private, yes. I mean, when you upload them privately, then it's just your own
It's
document.
just there. It's like your little mini Google Drive where you can just store some documents. Or if you have notes for the conference, you want to just have at like immediate access, you can access them right there directly. So amendments has popped up twice now.
Ah, it's cool that it highlights it now.
Mode for opening speeches. There's also MUN procedure.
All right.
Lunch. We had some kebab actually.
Yeah, it was beautiful kebab.
Okay, amendments. Amendments keeps coming up.
Seems like
amendments
that,
definitely. Okay, amendments. People are big fans of amendments.
And the reason they're saying it, I'm sure, is because it's a hassle.
Yeah, as a chair, I always hated amendments. So this was one of the key focus things I wanted to do to really look at with MUN Command, because like I hated having those piles of scrap paper and
then you didn't know which amendment belonged to which resolution, and did you have enough sponsors and signatories, and which clause did... Ugh.
It was so stressful.
But to start with, remember we had about half the people being first timers. What is an amendment?
Yes, an amendment is, you guys might know the Second Amendment of the US Constitution. Actually, let's switch back to our here. So you might know the US Constitution, where they have the Second Amendment about like guns rights. And this is not something they had originally in their Constitution, but something that was added after the fact, changed later on. So in MUN terms then, you might have what you call a draft resolution, so like a first sketch for a resolution, but you can change that, even though that might already be on the floor.
There are 3 ways for amendments. I mean, this is a very... Well, but just so you know, you can then add clauses, change clauses, or delete
remove
clauses.
them. Yeah. So let's assume we have a resolution with a couple of clauses now, and let's assume that this 7 ways docx or...
Oh, this is a Google Docs link.
Where do you think that goes?
I'm not sure, because we haven't uploaded it. I'm not sure what's behind this.
Okay, let's
use VV.
Let's use VV. Actually, let's just use one of those. What was that? Photo Jonas Bruins JPEG.
Oh, that's me.
Jonas being 12 years old. Let's use this. So let's assume that I had this document uploaded earlier and it was approved by the chair. And I want to now introduce that as an amendment. And we can now select a resolution we would like to amend. This draft resolution 1.0 is already introduced to the floor, so we go with this. And then we select, which one will we?
Jonas Bruins. That's me.
That's you. So we raise a motion to introduce the amendment photo Jonas Bruins JPEG.
We could give it a more beautiful title, like Amendment 1 or something.
Uno.
Va bene.
Importantly here, you don't have to necessarily select a draft resolution if you're not working with the draft resolutions in MUN Command.
You don't even have to select a document.
Yeah.
You could just plug in a title, and that's enough if you want to go
But it's
lean.
obviously always better to include all those things, because then you can leverage all the functionalities that are hidden away in MUN Command. We submit that.
Gotta probably click it.
Yeah,
All right, as a chair, I got this notification now that there's 1 there.
Yeah, and this motion, obviously, you as you do with motions, you might debate it, you might vote on it. Let's just pass it for simplicity's sake. And that now takes us to the amendment mode here on our home.
It's one of the home modes.
In our home mode, yeah, the amendment home mode. You can also navigate there manually, right? If you go somewhere else now, you can always go back there, but it automatically switches you to there if you pass that motion.
And as a chair, if you don't want to go through the motions thing, you can just add an amendment right there as well to just speed things up.
Yep.
But of course, then it'll not count that motion for statistics as a motion by the delegate of police.
Yep. So what I just did again was just reorder the amendments because we had a couple other ones in there, but we really want to debate amendment uno now.
And so they're sorted by, so to say, the one that was introduced first on top, second, and so on. And then now we just reordered it because amendment uno was the last one we introduced and we moved it up top.
Nice. All right. So again, what you often have then with amendments is like 2 speakers in favor, 2 against, whatever your rules of procedure might say. Your chair will add those speakers in favor and against. There's no way to raise a hand here yet, but
it might come in a few weeks.
It may or may not. But essentially, you just go through that debate. You can go just by however you would like to run with it. First against, first in favor, or
however you want.
However your chair wants to do it. And as a delegate, you will always see that happening live on the other side over there. So we go through our debate. People have spoken. People have voiced their points and ideas and concepts and whatnot.
So now let's vote on the amendment.
Yeah, exactly. Let's vote. Go on here and vote on the amendment. Now,
it depends on the ROPs, on the rules of procedure, because now we can see that this is marked a substantial or substantive vote. Yeah. But you see that orangey button you have as a chair, and with those you can always, well, usually do the settings and customizations, and now we can select procedural instead of substantive, and it'll change so that only in favor and against are voting options.
Exactly. Really, you guys configure that however you need to, and as a delegate, that will show accordingly. Because we now allow delegates to just vote directly, because we want to be swift, and towards the end of the conference, usually things run a bit tight anyway. Let's just vote in favor here. You see that registers here as well. And then as a chair, we just click through everything else.
See, one thing that I think we should mention is that as a chair, if the delegate of Bhutan raises a point saying that he accidentally voted in favor but wanted to vote against, that's something that might not be too intuitive, but you can just click on anyone, only if you're a chair, and then that should pop up on top. Maybe it only works for the substantive ones, I think.
I think it only works for the substantive vote, yeah. Anyway, that's that, but you can always reset the vote, and that takes just everybody back to it. Here we go. That is essentially the amendment process. Now let's assume we voted everybody through, everybody's in favor. This amendment should now pass, really. If we now go and officially pass this here, it disappears from our amendment section, but it will show up in the documents section as a passed amendment. Here we are.
Photo Jonas Bruns JBag.
Boom.
Passed.
Here we are, officially an amendment. Passed, and if we now go onto our draft resolution 1.0, which is up here, and we check the amendments here, it will show that this amendment uno, was passed and is part of that draft resolution.
Vice versa, you could also go from the amendment and then check the infos you have, and then you will find out that it is an amendment to draft resolution 1.0.
What up?
Both works.
Simple as that. That was the amendment process.
Oh man, that was swift. I hope we were not too fast, and just in case we were, I'm sure people will let us know through the Q&A or through the YouTube chat. Do we have anything in the Q&A?
We have a couple of things. How can you message other people? We covered that early on, though, I think.
Yeah, just to quick recap, you click on the message button up on top, and then it's kind of, inspired by WhatsApp a little bit, let me just say.
Now, points of information came up again, and we saw that also come up in as we did our last poll earlier. Again, as a delegate, you can open your dashboard, so by just clicking anywhere up here in the top bar.
And there you have your points.
And there you have your points. Point of order, point of parliamentary inquiry, point of personal privilege. And you just click this. Simple as that. And now that triggered this little pop-up here on the chair side. Boop, you can see that, open that down here, and your chair will now be able to contact the delegate, be like, yo, is this really
important?
An issue? And then sort it out like that, or the chair can recognize you in committee and talk to you like that.
Now, there's one thing that we can actually talk about, just it's not a feature, but a way you can use MUN Command. And this is about sharing a screen. Right now we are sharing our screen with you, and everyone can see it. However, because every delegate will be able to access it, there's technically not a need to share a screen.
Yeah.
However, now here's my personal recommendation from using MUN command. I would recommend sharing your screen maybe in the first session, and then ask the delegates on how it's going, and then you can experiment whether you want to share it all the time or not.
Yeah.
An advantage of not sharing it would be that on the one hand, you as a chair can access, for example, messages with the secretariat better. On the other hand, an advantage is that you see the people bigger in your Zoom call, and you can have MUN command on the side, on a second display, on your phone or wherever.
All right. Now, so a couple points that popped up. Somebody said, I'm so confused about amendments. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a second, just for you to find a way to figure all those things out, because we ran through it very quickly just now, obviously. And then yielding is also an issue. Now, Rachel asked, however, how would opening speeches work with the software? Now, I'm not sure, Rachel, whether you're a chair or a delegate, but either you can just add people to the general speakers list and have it run like that and go through everybody here in the general speakers list. Or what you can do is we have a tool tab,
which sometimes is referred to as round robin as well.
A round robin, which scales a bit funny on my 4K screen here. But anyway, you can just click add all here, and that adds everybody.
And this way, everyone in the committee is on the speakers list with one click, and then you can just make sure that everyone can speak.
Yeah, and you can give them, like, say, a 60-second speaking time. There you go.
10 minutes might be a little much.
10 minutes might be a bit long. And that just gives you a bit of a fast track around doing the opening speeches for everybody. Now,
right.
Let's talk. Okay, let's mention amendments again.
Yeah.
Amendments, by nature, are a bit complicated. Let's be real about this. Now, what we just mentioned is really sort of the entire path an amendment can take. Honestly, for the most part, your chairs will guide you through that. They will let you know how the procedure works, how they would like you to go about it. And maybe the way we explained just now is not exactly how your chair will love you to go about it. So really just listen to your chair, or raise a point of parliamentary inquiry later on in debate when that point comes, and ask how
to go about it.
How to go about it. Otherwise, what you can also do is we will, if you actually go on ahead to,
what are you looking for? YouTube?
Homepage. I want to just go full screen here. If you go to muncommand.com, you find on the upgrade page here, there is access to a demo conference, right? So you can log in with some of those accounts here.
That are the ones we're playing around with right now.
Yes, and with those accounts you can just play around in a conference without any consequences, and try things out and see how things work without anything impacting your real conference. So that is something you can always do, just to get a better feel and get more comfortable with it.
Just from maybe as a top level recap of the amendments, you upload a document. When you have in the Documents tab, you will then go to Motions and introduce a motion to introduce, a draft resolution, an amendment, or a working paper. That motion will be voted upon, like all motions are voted upon. And when this is successful, that's when, for amendments, you usually have a debate, not whether to have the motion pass, but whether the substance of the amendment is something nations agree with. And then once you finish that debate, you will vote on the substance of the amendment, whether you want the amendment to be successful or not successful. And then it's done.
It's done.
I hope that was a bit slower.
I don't know. I think we need a graphic for that at some point.
Actually, we should do some graphics for the workshops, Alex.
Who might be the one who's making the graphics?
Oh, well, I don't know.
Anyway, we had another question
we
about yielding. Point of information questions to other delegates after the speeches. So honestly, I'm not sure how your chair wants to handle that. So some chairs pause the timer while the question is being asked. that sort of thing. That will all happen in whatever your video conferencing tool is going to be. But what we have here for chairs, so if you yield your floor to a speech, to another speaker rather than a question, your chair will be able to select that other speaker, maybe Argentina. Argentina. It's not Argentina.
No, it's Argentina.
We have this one.
I know.
Yeah. We have this one account. And then chair can click, and that pops Argentina.
Argentina.
God.
All right.
So we have this one dummy email address where it's Argentina, and it's wrong, obviously, but somehow we use that so much it's in my head.
All right. Assuming I'm now the delegate of Argentina, I'm making my speech saying that it's very important that we discuss this certain issue, and I now conclude my speech and yield the floor to any questions.
Yeah.
Chair, how do we go about it?
Well, it depends on the chair, Jonas.
How would you go about it?
Well, I would say all those wishing to ask a question,
I think the time is a bit funny because someone's probably playing.
Yeah, somebody's messing with. Somebody used the login details and is now messing with our conference. Anyway, so yeah, this is an explanation for the chairs how they might go about it. So I would just ask on Zoom if there's any points on the floor, any questions on the floor, and I would recognize those people to ask a question to you, and then they will be asking that, and Jonas will be answering. And that's
Here's
pretty much
the
it.
delegate of Armenia who would like to ask a question to the delegate of Argentina. The question.
This will be overruled due to time constraints.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. Anyway, just listen to your chairs. They will help you out and guide you through that
And
process.
then, other than that, there's the yield button. Have we talked about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I should listen better.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think this is really funny. Any tips about doing last minute MUN research, and tips if you did a lot of research but still know nothing?
Well, just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Have a good time, and you don't have to know everything. You just have to seem as if you knew everything. And that's two very different things, as I will find out in 1 hour when I have an oral exam in uni.
Yeah, so really don't worry about it. MUN is about learning the language, about learning a bit about the United Nations, the international system.
About debate and decision making, about finding compromise and...
It really is that. So if you didn't do any research, maybe go on Wikipedia and the CIA World Factbook.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Just to read up on what your country is. Then maybe do a quick Google News search about what the latest news articles were about your conflict or whatever issue you're currently discussing, so you're up to date with that. And you can literally do that in 15 minutes. If you have a bit more than 15 minutes, you should definitely go and have a look at the UN resolutions that were already passed on the topic. This is really, really valuable. So if you want to be a good delegate and just do efficient research, just read like 4, I don't know if there's that many, read like 2 to 4 resolutions on the topic, and you'll be like golden.
Also, I always started usually with reading just a bunch of Wikipedia articles, although they're not the greatest sources always. Down below they have this sources section, and it's a great starting point, so you can select some of the sources and you really start to deep dive on research.
Yep.
This all is not something that is part of MUN Command, but it's just something that we would encourage you just from a personal experience.
Exactly.
From conferences.
Yeah, and honestly, like really don't worry about it. It's not about writing long speeches and being prepared for them. It's about maybe having a note or two that you want to talk about and just going in there and getting better by doing it. And this is really how you can be a great delegate and succeed in the end.
Often it's always just this improvisation and just somebody stated a point, you're up next and you had your speech prepared, but that point that the delegate raised was so important that you just want to, stress that and discuss that and tear it apart or maybe speak of it highly.
Exactly.
All right, we're
now
somewhat coming to an end, having 3 minutes left, which is why I would suggest
we have a few more minutes. Let's just go through a couple more questions. How long does amendment last on average? You can be swift about it, especially with MUN Command. If everybody's sort of alert and you go through the votes with people voting in the app, you can go through one within minutes, really.
But then I have seen process without MUN Command, and those took hours and hours. So really, there's no one
answer.
way.
The key thing is just listen to your chairs. Your chairs will be prepared, and they will guide you through everything.
And if you're a chair tuning in and you have questions about it from like a functional side and how to do it with MUN Command, you can check out some of the videos in our YouTube channel. There's one in particular where we explain the way MUN Command works. Actually, Alex explains it in like 15 minutes to give you a quick recap there. Or always, whether you're a delegate or a chair or an organizer, feel free to reach out to us through social media or through our website, anywhere. We're looking forward to hearing your questions, supporting you, and just, growing a community about MUN Command.
Yeah, one more thing I just saw here, a couple of questions. How to frame a point of information, just ask a question. Just like, don't worry about phrasing, don't worry about formalities as much. You shouldn't speak in first person because you're representing a country, you are a country. So just try to get into that vibe, but don't be afraid of it. Just try and see what happens.
Susanna is saying this is her first conference and she is scared and confused. Susanna, I'm sorry to say, but that's usually the way people start with MUN. Yeah. And I've got full faith in you and all those first timers out there. You will succeed. I remember the first time speaking, I had my knees shackling and it was just, I don't want to say uncomfortable, but it's not the most pleasant things to speak for the very first time. But this way, breaking free of your comfort zone is really some way you can grow and benefit a lot, And so I'll have my fingers crossed. You guys are gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
And
this is also regarding the question that popped up regarding how often should I speak? As often as you can. What would happen if I go over the time limit? Don't worry about it. See what happens. In MUN Command, the timer runs out, but then it depends on your chair interrupting you. Don't worry about it. Just go with it. One last thing I wanted to mention, just in case you guys have any questions following up. You see, you can contact me on WhatsApp here. You can follow us on Instagram as well at MUN Command, where we do fun stuff all the time.
And subscribe our YouTube channel.
Subscribe our YouTube channel, obviously. And else, if you have any other inquiries, info@muncommand.com is our email address, where we love to hear from you.
I think we hit it. It's 3 p.m. here. I'm not quite sure, I think it's 6 or 7 hours time difference to Hong Kong. Thank you guys for your time and attention. We will ask your secretary to send you a feedback link after the conference because we're looking forward to hearing your feedback, how it all went, especially with the software. Did I forget anything?
No, thank you guys so much. It's been a great pleasure. I'm so excited that you were part of this. We had so many people watching and being part of this and interacting. I hope you're going to have an amazing conference, an amazing MUN career is the wrong word, but a journey, I want to say. Have a beautiful day and hopefully see you guys somewhere around the world at a conference sometime.
Add oil, guys, and see you around together. Add oil is an expression they use in Hong Kong a lot.
Oh, okay, I've never heard it.
All right. Anyways, together we're excited.
To debate.
Better.
Cheers.
Woo! That was a good one. Alex?
Wait. High five. Out we go.